Hello Cherries fans, happy Monday to you. I say happy very loosely after what happened at the weekend. Welcome to Back of the Net. This is the second look. My name is Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And I'm Tiggs.
It was a record-equaling weekend, Tom, and one that many fans will remember for a long time, but not for the right reasons, eh?
Did you see Dundee? Dundee last night. No, thank you, Dundee. We got a lot of Dundee subscribers, so yeah, nice of them to just give us someone to lean on. But no, it was.
I think it was Dundee United.
Oh yeah, they won't be happy with that. It was a. We'll go into it, but yeah, really not a good weekend. We knew it'd be a tough one, but yeah, it wasn't the reaction we wanted. They certainly got their reaction from their defeat at Old Trafford, didn't they? But yeah, it was a tough one to watch, painful.
We've got a lot of debate on social media about how things are going, Tiggs, on Vitals forums, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. It's to be expected, especially after a 9-0. Maybe if it was a cheeky 3-0, it would be okay. But there's a lot of questions being asked, and it's not even the things just on the pitch that are being looked at. It's some of the things happening off the pitch, media sound bites, and lots more besides.
Yeah, everyone's looking for someone to blame at the moment, aren't they? And unfortunately, that kind of probably extends beyond fans as well, and maybe the manager looking for a reason as to why things aren't working out. I say things aren't working out. We'll talk about it, sure, but we have played 3 very good sides. It's just whether we're able to be competitive this season, and I don't know who really has to shoulder the blame for that.
Yeah, I think it's probably a mixture, isn't it? It's probably a mixture, as I say, we'll come on to it, but yeah, I mean, there's the 3 teams that went up. We all lost at the weekend. None of us got any points. I think the problem is we obviously got an embarrassing scoreline against us, and our manager is saying different things to their 2 managers, and that's why it's being questioned a little bit more, looked into a bit more. But yeah, ultimately we didn't get any points, and neither did a few teams around us. So that's how we've got to look at it going into Wednesday. But yeah, in terms of Saturday, mate, it was not great.
I felt a mixture of optimism, excitement, nervousness. It's all the things combined into one.
Is that when we arrived at Warwick and you saw that maybe KFC might be open?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't even open on the way back at Cherbourg, was it? Yeah, KFC.
Absolutely.
What an awful day.
Awful day.
Oh my god.
But look, given Liverpool's form, it's not a surprise that some fans in red and black had a glimmer of hope. And there could always be a reaction though, and that's the danger. And fortunately for Liverpool, that happened for them. Unfortunately for Bournemouth, it was probably one of the worst days we've ever had. And as Tom said at half-time, not sure we've ever been 5-0 down at half-time. Someone will need to get the record books out for that, mate. But before the game, how were you feeling? Did you have that little glint of optimism or not really?
Yeah, I suppose what I was looking for, more than anything, and this is every game, especially after you lose, you want to see an improved performance. So what I was expecting to see was something where maybe some of the criticism at the Arsenal game is that we didn't really get out Arsenal. We didn't really get out them. So just to see a bit of forward play, something about the pitch, a wayward shot, and very quickly the game was turned on its head.
I thought the exact same. I thought you go into every game with hope, don't you, as a football fan?
Yeah.
But I think the fact we're in the Premier League as well, it means we get to see all the other games. So I've seen Liverpool start the season. I think most have been televised, if not all. Seen Liverpool start, and you think, oh, they're brilliant. They've got brilliant players. But look, the proof's there. How to get them. It's quite obvious how you get them. They're really struggling with pacing behind. So you're thinking, City and Arsenal had started well. So you think, God, this might be one of them. Like, don't get too beaten. I understand being compact. It's gonna be very hard to get out. But this side, I thought, we could take a few more risks against these because they're a bit vulnerable at the moment.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I always expected a reaction from them at Anfield, and it was always going to be tough. Let's not just act like they're rubbish now. But there was definitely signs going into the game where you thought, well, we could nick a goal and then make it difficult for them and get the crowd on their backs and stuff. But yeah, it just didn't materialise whatsoever, mate.
So when the team was announced, I remember chatting to you outside our calls, and we went 4 at the back, which was the successful formula in the second half. You call it successful, like you've said a few times. They did put their feet up by that point with the win in the bag. But it's one where when we play 4 at the back, we do show a little bit more attacking impetus. Can you maybe forgive Parker for doing that, because we were fairly optimistic at the start. Well, not fairly optimistic, but we were thinking that's not bad. But then it was not so long into the game where we thought, okay, we're getting found out here now. This is naive.
Yeah, I think what we'll never know is Kelly being out. Did that change his mindset potentially? Without Kelly, that's a centre half out. So if you're going to play three at the back, you're either moving Lerma or you're bringing in a James Hill or an Owen Bevan. So that might have played a part. I think what's just bizarre is that, last season we played a certain way, but this season it's been quite obvious in pre-season and the early games that they've been training on this 3/5 at the back. That's what we've been working on.
And they're doing that because the standard and quality in the Premier League is better.
Of course.
And we're playing Liverpool.
Of course. And so if you're a player, you're probably going up thinking, everything that we've done last year, our manager that got us promoted is saying, no, we need to adapt to the Premier League, so this is how we're going to play. Right, okay, awesome. Then we've lost 2 games, and he's gone, we're not doing that anymore, but we're going to Anfield. We're not doing that anymore. And it's just bizarre, because it feels like, if you've been working on something all pre-season, just to rip up, because we haven't got Lloyd Kelly, I don't really... and I'm not saying, I don't think it would have been much different, and I'm not saying that I wasn't fuming that we went to a 4, because I don't like the 5. But you know what I'm saying? It seems like that must be really hard for a player in particular. What are we doing here?
I think when Parker won at Anfield last time, I think he played 4 at the back for Fulham then.
Yeah,
Do you think he's sometimes trying to just emulate what he did before and maybe learn where he went wrong and just continue the things where he went right?
I think we've said before, I believe sometimes that he may have a tendency to overthink, to overtinker, to overdo, thinking about what I can change to make this, get the percentages. Fine margins is one of the things he likes to say a lot. It's really interesting with this one because I remember
9 margins.
9 margins. That might be the title of this. It's really interesting that when we got the team news, it pointed towards a 4, didn't it? But then there were a lot of reports of people saying that they were watching the warm up, and we were warming up with practicing a 5. Right. So I wonder if Kelly got injured. Parker's first thought was, I'm going to put Lerma at the back, and then changed his mind.
Yeah, that bite out of midfield.
Yeah, exactly. Because who else? We had Pearson, but
I was thinking then as well when Tiggs was saying that Klopp's very much known to come out and stand and watch the other teams warming up.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if there's a little bit of mind games there, thinking make it look like we're doing a 5.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He just stands in the centre circle, just literally hands in pockets.
So I wonder if it was a case of make it look like we're going to a 5, and then we'll surprise them a little bit and go to that 4. I don't know, but it was I do think the Kelly thing probably shifted a lot of thoughts. But as I say, if we're going to go back to that 4 and back to what was good last season, then why are you not playing Billing? Why are you not playing Billing? Why are you playing Christie in a role where he was good in a certain role? Do you know what I mean?
He was basically a second striker.
Basically, he was off Kiefer Moore, which that's what Billing's good at. And Christie's good off a wide area, and he played really well at Norwich off a wide area. So, a few weird things. But I'm not gonna pretend that I saw the lineup and thought, we're definitely gonna get hammered now. Yeah. It's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But I do think the Kelly thing played a big part.
This seemed like this was like a 4-2-3-1, was it?
I would say so, yeah. Because Christie was a lot higher, wasn't he? Yeah. He was almost 4-4-2 when we had the ball and we were breaking. He was getting really close to Kiefer, which is a difficult one. But we've also said on the channel, haven't we, that Kiefer's quite isolated. Yeah. So maybe it was that thought process of getting someone a bit close to him. But is Ryan Christie the man to do that? Probably not. I think if you're going to play that team and you want someone close to Kiefer, I would have gone with maybe a Tavernier with a bit more pace.
Agreed.
But maybe that was the thinking, to get someone a bit closer to Kiefer.
I'm surprised he didn't rotate the players around a little bit more, actually, because having Jayden Anthony on the right, you could have tried him on the left, then you could have tried Tavernier closer to Kiefer Moore, then you could have put Christie out on the right. It just...
I really thought that the players we had out there, I thought, at least we're trying that, trying the Jay-Z Anthony thing again. Yeah. Trent's getting a lot of criticism at the moment. Let's get at him a little bit. 2 of them running at Trent. Salah's not really going to go back the other way. Yeah. So I agree. It was weird that Jayden was stuck on that right the whole time. But there was we could talk about it a lot. But I think there was, at the moment, it doesn't really feel. We don't really know what the way to go is, and it almost means we're overcomplicating it a little bit, perhaps.
Well, I mean, you look at your track record, Tom, by the way, which is excellent for predicting what the opposition team's going to be. So you know that, but we can't work out what Bournemouth's going to be week to week.
Ain't got a clue.
I've got Liverpool back on, didn't I? Why don't you change your bio? Not say AFCB fan, just say fan of the other 19.
Yeah.
You seem to know them better than Bournemouth.
Well, so that says it all, though, doesn't it? That's because other teams are in a more consistent place at the moment. they kind of all know what they're doing. They all know what their jobs are, their roles are, and how they're going. We're a little bit up in the air at the moment, and we don't really know from game to game what to do. No. It feels like I think the way I describe a lot of things at the moment is I'm not really sure of the plan, and I don't think the players or the staff are sure of the plan at all.
We're not going to go through chronologically minute by minute what happened, because we would be here for quite a while. But look, they scored a couple of goals early on, and look, I want to give a huge shout out to the Bournemouth fans who may not have been aware, but they were soon very aware of the 9-minute applause for Olivia Pratt-Corbell. Awful what happened to her in Liverpool recently, and that was a really nice moment where we all came together. There were moments in the game where we were socking it to the Liverpool fans somewhat, especially during the second half, and if you see the matchday vlog, there was one Liverpool fan who got ejected, who we got the exclusive interview with full time. Look, if you're a Liverpool fan, that we have got what's called an away day experience show. And if you're new to the channel, we've got a number of subscribers over the weekend. Tom, we go through and we rate a number of factors, including pre-match experience, the food, the concourse, the facilities, the view from the seat, also the atmosphere as well. And there were many times during that match where we were singing and they, 6-0 up, 7-0 up, 8-0 up, 9-0 up, weren't. It was almost a bit of a sort of testimonial vibe, exhibition match.
Yeah, we'll leave that to the away day experience show, but I think there might be differing scores on a few categories, put it that way.
That's right. And look, we tried to get behind our boys, but Tiggs, chances were few and far between. They were just better in every department. But weirdly, I'm going to say something that Liverpool fans might take offence to. I thought Man City were better. I thought Arsenal were better. We facilitated how Liverpool played somewhat, I think, and just made it really easy for them.
Yeah. I think against Man City and Arsenal, we were like the fridge that, when you just take the butter out the fridge. Yeah, you can cut through it, but it takes a bit more work. Against Liverpool, it just melted, mate. There was nothing.
That's a great analogy.
There was nothing. And the speed at which, this is the funny thing. How soon can we consult? That's got to be like a record for us now. How soon can we concede goals? Because we're doing it, 2 games now. We've just done it really quickly.
That City game, 15 minutes, looks really good now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
15 minutes. But yeah, we're not. We're conceded so early. It's just like that is them, like you say, them last 2 games. That is literally the worst thing you could do when you set up, because the game plan's gone after a minute, and it is a nightmare. But yeah, I agree. I didn't think it's weird. You just lost 9-0. I didn't think they were unbelievable. They were what I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
Good side, good players, high press, high tempo, all that stuff. But yeah, we sat off and we were so easy to play against. And I think I said on the vlog and stuff, you're not getting, no one's going there and losing 9-0 this season, and it's just too much. And that's probably why we were decent with a sing along, because what can you do at that point? You're not in the game. There's no nerves. You're just having a laugh, aren't you?
When you said about the fridge, I was going to come up with it. I can't believe we got battered.
Pressure on me to get one in for the rest of the video now.
That's right. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Let's not milk it.
like it. I think that there are a number of players that we could be looking at individually and say they had a poor game, but I don't really know whether that's worth doing or not. But look, I've got to mention a couple.
Yep.
Marcus Senesi was put in, and I suppose it's right that he gets minutes, and why not do it against one of the best teams in the league. However, it seemed like he was out of sorts when he's played in an AFC Bournemouth shirt so far. Yeah. And that seems to still be the case, because I think there were a couple of times he got found out during that game.
It's a difficult one because, what would you expect? He's coming against Arsenal 45 minutes, and then obviously in this game, and you're playing against some of the best attackers in the league, if not in Europe, and in the world. And he's going to take time. So he'll only benefit probably from these experiences, I'd hope. We were lucky enough to see him at Norwich, where he's coming up against, obviously not quite as good player. And even then, he shows quality on the ball, doesn't he? We were saying this. He's certainly a good footballer. He's technically a good footballer. I worry about his about his pace, if he's got any, to be honest. He got beaten a few foot races at Norwich, and yeah, but like I say, he's never played in England before. Let's see what happens. We're certainly not going to judge him now, and he can't be a bad footballer. But yeah, it hasn't been a good start for him. But then if he had come in and been mustard against Arsenal and City, we probably wouldn't have been able to sign him.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and also he's played in a back three. He's then played with James Hill. Now he's playing with Mepham. Yeah, he's a new centre half, new to the country, and he's having a different partner as well. So yeah, all them things considered. But yeah, it's been a tough start for him. And Mepham, who I actually think has been one of our best players so far this season, had a really bad day as well. So that didn't help.
Mepham was trying to coach Senesi through that first half, which is, that's not really what you want to see, is it, when you're going up against Liverpool?
Yeah.
No, it's not. All right, Tom, we're not going to go through the nuts and bolts of the game, but what I am going to ask you to do, because your knowledge of football is so great, can you name all the scorers in the order that they scored them in?
Oh, it's toughy. Right, hang on.
This is a pub question, and we're in the best setting.
Hang on. I've got Luis Diaz header.
Yes.
Then it was Harvey Elliott.
Correct.
And then I think was Trent next.
It was.
Cracking goal, that.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
It was 5-0 at half time, so one more scored before. Oh, Firmino.
Yeah.
Then Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Then a Mepham own goal.
Correct.
Now I'm struggling. I was going to go Firmino, Carvalho, Diaz.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I think I'm right. Yeah, I think so. Did Parker have Elliott on loan and Carvalho in for Fulham? I think he's worked with both of them, hasn't he? Both young players at school. Yeah, I thought that on the game.
We've said this on the vlog. We decided not to do a free-for-all. Was that the right call? To not do a post-match fan reaction thing? Because we spoke to a number of fans and we sort of gauge it based on what they said, but we thought there wasn't much.
I think the situation we're in at the moment, after that defeat, after the way things, and some of the comments that came out afterwards from Parker and other things are getting a little bit, they're getting close to being a bit toxic, aren't they? And I think you don't want to create a situation where you're kind of piling on.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that we lost. Everyone knows that we lost in a really embarrassing way, and everyone knows that we are not. And Parker said this: we are not competitive. We are not competitive. We do not have a squad that is going to compete, in his opinion. So, what else can we say to that?
I think as well. I think when you're playing when we have the City game, the Arsenal game, you can still, even though we've been poor, we've been beaten by a much better side. Yep. There's constructive criticism in there. There's things we can look at. There's things we can go, well, they're bloody good, and we try to do this, and you can see what we're trying to do. When you lose a football match 9-0, which you hope never to do, it is a bit of an anomaly, and it is one of them that's just, you rarely think it's ever going to happen. What's the point? You're not going to get anything constructive out of that. We're all going to be just embarrassed. There's nothing good is going to come out of that. And
no.
Whatever anyone thinks, we don't. We could have put a video out. It probably would have done all right. Because it would have been, like AFCB always get when they, lose a game. People think, oh, Bournemouth fans are going to be a meltdown. But we're Bournemouth fans. What good's it going to do? Yeah. There's not going to be any sort of.
Nothing's going to happen.
There's going to be nothing apart from us kind of all laughing and being embarrassed and looking like a bit of a tin pot joke, to be honest. So I think it was the right call, mate, and better to just give it a day or two and settle down and talk about it a little bit more. Because I certainly wouldn't have been able to be as measured when you come out of a ground, you just travelled 5 hours and lost 9-0. No. It's very hard to keep your emotions in check a little bit more. And we'd just seen kind of a few little snippets from what Parker said, and I think everyone was I think it was the right thing to do.
I've got to say, there have been a few knee-jerk comments on Twitter, but then in amongst it on social media and even on YouTube, I think that John Spark, who's been a regular on this channel, of course, on the free-for-all, he summed it up really well. It's somehow very measured 8 minutes from him talking about the game, so credit to you, John, for that. I watched that come through just on the way back, and then I'm scrolling through Twitter, and then I look at Chris Temple, who tweets.
Yeah.
And the tweet said, I've got it here. Scott Parker admitted in his interview with me that his previous recruitment had been to get out of the Championship. The owner, understandably, takes a longer-term view on signings. They have nowhere near enough to stay up currently. The owner trust in Scott Parker is now in focus. There were a few clarifications on that when people were asking Chris questions in the replies. Yeah. When you saw that tweet, Tiggs, what were you feeling? What were you thinking?
It doesn't surprise me, because that's what we're seeing. And when it was transfer window day in January, we had a great time, didn't we, by the way? It was really exciting, and we did a really good video. But it was really clear that the players that we were signing were to get us over the line. And Parker, in the extended interview that Chris Temple did with him, actually says, you know, I was putting together a team of young players to coach. And then we realised, we can get Premier League football. So in January, went out and got these players. It would seem that from what Chris Temple said there, well, Max and Deming's now thinking, well, I gave you these players in January. And Parker's saying they were to get you promoted. But Deming's thinking, why are you trying to sell them all now? You know, why? Because that's what it sort of looks like. That's how I took it.
There's a bit of a misunderstanding there in terms of what the players are actually signed for.
Yeah, because I think Parker wants more players now, which I can understand. But were they the right players then to sign back in January?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, they got us to the Premier League. But if then you're not going to really want to use them too much, or Sriki Dembele, Woodman, Lowe is, you know, I don't know, like...
You know, this is a car analogy. I've recently just got a new car, okay, and I was looking for some car mats. You know, they cost a lot to buy the actual ones. So I just went to Halfords and bought some universal ones, but that I know will do a job.
Do the job.
But at some point, I know I want the proper ones.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
It is a bit like that, and I don't really know what the solution is to this really, because at the end of the day, we're not going to shove a load of money in Scott Parker's hand and go on then, because it's twofold. First thing, we haven't got a lot of money because we're supposed to be building a training ground, aren't we? Isn't that kind of the whole big thing, you know? So it feels like we're doing a bit of a Norwich, definitely, and people have already said that. But also, Tom made a good point. What happens, just before we were chatting, what happens now if you want to buy Nat Phillips?
They'll double the price.
Yeah,
because we've just come out and showed that we're desperate. I never get that. Deadline ain't closed. We go in for anyone now. The selling club is going to go, God, have you seen Parker's comment? They are desperate. Put a few more million on his price tag. So yeah, I don't really get it. I think the top bottom of it is we're never going to know unless something blows up and he leaves or whatever. We're not going to know the ins and outs. We're just kind of, we're speculating, aren't we, on what we think. I think the top bottom is I don't really, as a football fan, I don't really, obviously I want to be the best we can be, but I don't really care what I'm going to be going, whatever. I want to see a team together. I want to see everyone singing off the same hymn sheet. What is it, together, ready for as possible? We're the furthest thing from together at the moment. The way Parker's talking, that is the furthest thing from being together as a football club.
Yeah.
But he was okay in January when he was allowed to sign players. And he barely used any of them, by the way. And if you said our starting 11 now, our best 11, how many of them did Parker sign, or were they already there? Most of them were already there. Yeah. Most of them were already there. He's like, what, Ryan Christie?
Yeah.
Kiefer Moore, but Solanke would play over him anyway. He hasn't, so it's not like he's an absolute whiz in the market, so we need to give him everything he needs. It's frustrating. I said I got it up, didn't I? I was interested. I wanted to look for myself, really, and I thought, I'll bring it up, actually. That I looked when we first went up to the Premier League, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about being under-equipped to be competitive in the Premier League, right? So I thought, right, when we went up first time, and we went to a big boy, what team, because we were never under-equipped then, by the way, we stayed up comfortably, and we were never told we were under-equipped. So what team did we have then? We went to Man City away. We started Federici, Francis, Cook, Distan, Daniels, Goslin, O'Kane, Sermon, Richie Smith and Glenn Murray. No goalkeeper on the subs bench, actually, it doesn't look like. King, McDonald, Pugh, Kermigan, Tomlin, Bennett and Cargill on the substitutes bench. And that was a City team that had Company on the subs bench, by the way. We weren't under-equipped then, and what I'm saying is we knew going into that season, when we went up to the Premier League, we're obviously under-ready. We knew we haven't got as good players as anyone in this league. We're going to have to be really together. We're going to have that team spirit, that backs to the wall, it's us against everyone's expecting us to go down. Yeah. And it was enjoyable because of that. And it meant we got some results because everyone was singing off the same hymn sheet, and we comfortably stayed up in the end. Well, at the moment, we're in the same position where I actually think we've got a much better squad than that. But we think that we're in the bottom three in terms of squads. But we're not singing off the same hymn sheet. We don't know what's going on. The manager doesn't seem to like the board. We don't know what the board is with the manager. The fans are not sure on the manager. The manager's then basically saying the players have got ain't good enough, by the way. And then players probably go to training and go, you don't think I'm good enough? It's too. That's what annoys me.
It seems like he's more of a manager that needs tangible resources rather than instills belief.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you look at when he got promoted with Fulham. How many players did they go out and sign that year? He changed the squad completely. But then you also look at the end of his tenure. Yeah, the end of his tenure with Fulham. He didn't really get along very well with their owners, did he? About the way the transfer dealings were going. It just feels a little bit like, deja vu there, doesn't it? And I'm sure there'll be Fulham fans in our comments saying that.
Yeah, I spoke to a few of them already, and obviously they've been great for the challenge. Actually, we've had a good little chats with them and that. But all through last season, they were kind of saying, just wait, and now they're all coming out again, going, told you, because they said, he'll fall out with the owners. That's what they said. He'll fall out with the owners.
They did. Is it a miscommunication thing? Because look, I've seen his interviews, and sometimes I think it's fair play to him for coming out and fronting up straight afterwards, and obviously his frustrations came out. Whether he meant to say the words he did, I don't know. Interestingly, obviously there's the post-match conference, press conferences that are done in different ways, one for TV, one for different media, and then club media as well. And noticeably, there was an edit point throughout. I'm not sure who was asking the questions, actually.
Zoe, wasn't it?
Zoe, it might have been Zoe. And the interview was happening, and then there was a pure cut. So in there, he said something.
Yeah, it was probably about transfer dealings, about recruitment.
But the club can cut that if they want, so it's quite easy for them to just think, get rid of that. You would have done a better edit though. We wouldn't have noticed.
I would have panned some seagulls. Cut back and then. But I find with him that he's sometimes he's a very divisive character. Like he seems to make these excuses that kind of isolates himself and separates himself from the problem when we lose. When we win, you never hear that. You never hear him say, "Yeah, but we need this, but we need that." But it's when we lose, he becomes an island, and he never says it directly, but he says it in ways that kind of isolates himself from the fans. In that he's basically giving us no hope by saying, this is how it's going to be. Not to quote that, but that's effectively what he's saying. And also, he seems to separate himself from the board as well. It's almost I said this on the vlog. It's almost self-preservation to enhance, not enhance the CV, but keep his CV intact sometimes, maybe?
I think he's a very, and I probably shouldn't use this word, but a very crafty guy in a lot of his approaches. My personal opinion, and it is mine, not the opinions necessarily back of the net, his decision, that the bench that he picked Saturday, and the players that he then took off the bench to play. Owen Bevan, well done on your Premier League debut, but why? Is that so he can point to it and go, look, I'm having to pull my lads from a development squad because I haven't got enough players. Is that the reason behind it?
I think it's. What was I going to say? I was going to say. You said I agree with what you said about that self-preservation, kind of look after himself, which is fine. He's got no link to the football club, and he is just doing a job, I guess. So that's cool if he wants to be like that. But what's he saving himself for? Because what does he expect? He's not going to get a job where he gets loads of money because he hasn't done well enough as a coach. No. He's not going to walk into a club. If he went tomorrow, he's not walking into a better football club. He's not, because he hasn't done anything. In the Premier League, he's only been relegated.
Possibly a bigger club size-wise.
Maybe, of course, because we're talking. But
they're not better in terms of league.
You're not going to get a side that are going to splash loads of money, and if that's what he needs, then you need to be a better coach. Then, if you're a really good coach, and then you go, I just need a bit more to help me. But I mean, has he ever shown in the Premier League that he's a good coach? No. So get on with it and show you're a good coach. That's what annoys me. Show you're a good coach.
It's the lack of siege mentality. Look, as a club, we've always been up against it. We have fought off creditors.
Yeah.
We have fought off the banks. We've fought off relegation from the Premier League in the first season, minus 17. All these different, adversity runs through the fabric of the club. And Scott Parker, it seems, when he is in adverse situations, unlike some previous managers who would, go at it tooth and nail to try to get us out of the situation, it's almost like, let's just say these things, because at least it saves myself. And for me, like I said, I think it undermines, some of the things he says about the existing squad. In the same breath, he says, I'm not trying to downplay the existing squad, but he is by saying the things he says.
And I think Neil made a point last week. I can't remember if he'd done it on the show or he spoke to us off air, but was kind of saying, the way we'd set up in the first few games. If you're going into a game going, right, we're going to play with a back five and two holding midfielders in front. Every player is thinking that he don't think we're good enough to win this game. He's really worried, and that would have started in pre-season with saying, we're changing the system, but also coming out and just constantly saying, we have not got the players to compete in the Premier League, we're under-equipped, we haven't got a Premier League squad. What the hell is that telling your players?
And what does it tell other teams as well?
And from kick-off, then you can see first minute, they're all thinking, well, our manager don't think we're good enough, maybe we're not good enough. I mean, it's the man management is, I'm sorry, that's appalling.
And that is one of the things we thought he was good at.
That is appalling. You're just constantly saying that the players you're putting on the pitch aren't good enough.
I will caveat that with the fact that I think that I thought at the time, now looking back I'm wrong, but I thought at the time that may have influenced our result against Villa in that they became to us complacent. However, looking at Villa's results since, sorry any Villa fans, they're not looking like they're tearing up any trees, do they? Really?
I think that match at Anfield symbolises a bigger problem, I suppose. But it's so interesting. I was looking back at the teams of our size that have won at Anfield or got something. They've all gone 3 at the back. And even Nick Taylor, Cherries fan, who was travelling on the train on the way up, Neil Whedon told me this outside Arkles. He was chatting to Ray Houghton, who said the best way to get at Liverpool is to play 3 at the back, and wing backs just don't give their wide players any room at all. That's the best way you can stun Liverpool, and we go 4 at the back. And Jurgen Klopp's probably seen the team lined up, and when the game begins, maybe not, because obviously we were all expecting Lerma to maybe be there, and he wasn't. He's probably licking his lips. And when
he wasn't in the second half though, 5-0. We changed it and mixed it up.
Flat back 5 in the second half. That was great.
And we're so worried about the size of the squad and the fact we're under-equipped at 5-0. We're bringing on Dom Solanke, who's just had an injury. I just can't get my head around it. Go on.
But we have had these conversations and these gripes and these problems with Parker before.
Yeah, of course.
And he's turned it around. And he's managed to get us playing when we need to play.
How would you define turning it around? He's got the job done last season.
I'm talking about the Championship.
Of course, yeah, and he got. Of course, when we needed it, we stepped up.
So we were having similar shows this to something. I think what was there was a show we did, Scott Parker, An Apology or whatever.
Because he got the job done, and don't get me wrong. Of course, that's football fans, isn't it? But don't get me wrong, he got us promoted last year. Him, the staff, the players, they all deserve credit for some of them big games. You went away from home on 3-0, and in really big games. That squad was unbelievable. Yeah. That squad was a joke, absolute joke. We had players who couldn't get on the bench and walk in every Championship team.
We were signing players. That signing players of other clubs, weren't we? Good players of other clubs, good Championship players that were good players at their clubs.
The best wing back in the league that season up to January was Ethan Laird, and we bought him to maybe put him on the bench. Now and again.
Barely even played, did he?
No, barely played. Freddie Woodman, but didn't play. So we had a great squad. So he still got the job done. So got to caveat that. But I think it depends how you define it. I think we were probably just too good for a lot of the opposition a lot of the time. But he did get the job done.
And the style of football that we were playing then, that was the problem with it. Let's be honest, is that it was quite a passive style of football, wasn't it? Just try and keep the ball, wait for that opening. It wasn't something we were used to. And our collective thoughts were, this is to prepare us for the Premier League.
Yes.
This is the stuff. But then pre-season comes and we change shape. And actually we are changing the way we play. I mean, you can't really count that Liverpool game, because that Liverpool game, I mean, we've talked a lot about Parker. We haven't really talked much about the players, but they couldn't get the ball out their feet quick enough.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we're speaking a lot about Parker. I think a lot because of what you said as well, and things. The players weren't good enough at the end of the day. I'm saying I think a lot of the things he's saying are then a detriment to the players, and they don't know what system they're doing, etc., etc. But the players weren't good enough at the end of the day. Some of them, like you say, were awful with the ball, awful without the ball. So the players got to take a lot of the blame. But it's just. I mean, we've played as we keep saying, we've had really hard games.
Yeah, with Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and
but even if
us dissecting in the pub, is Scott Parker the man to take us forward?
Well, let's see what happens. Let's hope he proves us wrong. We win the next 2, and everything's hunky-dory. But we're just going off what we see, and this is just our individual opinions and collective opinions of us 3. It's not every fan out there. We're not speaking on behalf of Bournemouth or anything. This is just, and this is why we didn't do fan cabs. We didn't want all that kind of. We're trying to just talk about how we're all feeling, and I think my worry is you can even include the Villa game, by the way. So both goals were crosses, weren't they? Kiefer Moore and Lerma.
Yeah, they were.
So they're both. I think one was a set piece and one had come out from a set piece and was crossed back in.
Yeah.
Kelly circling more. So 2 crosses in the box that we scored, brilliant. And 3 games without a goal. Have we had a shot with our foot that's tested a goalkeeper this season?
Not tested, no.
We haven't tested a goalkeeper.
No.
The best shot I can remember is Ben Pearson kicking it straight at
Man
keeper.
City.
Yeah. So any of us 3 could have been in goal in the last 3 games. 100% for the opposition. 100%. So how can you play 4 games and not have a shot with your foot? That's worth of note. And like I say, we're talking about, don't get me wrong, they're good, but we're talking about a Liverpool team that that showed loads of vulnerabilities against Fulham, who had just got promoted with us. And Mitrovic caused them loads of problems. A Mitrovic player that Parker didn't think was good enough, by the way. They got destroyed by the pace of Palace, and they got murdered by a United side who were in disarray. So it was a good time to play Liverpool in that sense, because they shown obvious vulnerabilities, as I mentioned earlier. So yes, we've got to put into context that these have been hard fixtures, but let's not act like these are fixtures that we should just go 4-0, 3-0, 9-0, letting 16 goals, not tested the goalkeeper. I mean, come on, we're not that bad. Our players are not that bad. We've got internationals out there. Yeah. We're not that bad.
We've had a few questions on Twitter. We put a tweet out on Sunday afternoon just to say, look, we're recording the show. Got any questions for us? We had one from WRCRB talking about Senesi, so we've covered that. And he just said, I'm annoyingly disappointed. What are your feelings on him? I think we've gone over that. Philip asked, did Scott Parker set that team up to ensure a drubbing to make his point about wanting more players? Would a manager seriously do that?
I don't think they would. But what I would say is, and we sort of hinted, we sort of said a little bit about this already, at 3-0 or 4-0 down, why did you persevere? Because you know then you are going to take a drum in. It's going to be embarrassing. If you're not going to change it then, you should have changed it at 3-0 and gone, do you know what? Let's get out of here without being, stupidly a cricket score. And then afterwards, I'll say to the press, do you know what? We weren't good enough, so that's what we did. But to say we're not good enough and get beat 9-0, come on.
Yeah, it was.
Come on.
We literally made attacking changes at 5-0. Mental. At Anfield, we bought Billing and Solanke. Like we're gonna, we get a couple of goals, could be in this game. What are we doing? Just go, bloody hell, it's a bad day at the office, boys. Yeah. We're getting smashed here. Letting 1 or 2 maximum second half. Come out of a bit of pride for the fans second half. Let's not make this stupid. The changes, but let's not, whatever we think of Parker, there's no way I'm saying he wanted, it doesn't, we say about self-preservation, there's no way for him it looks good losing 9-0.
No.
So, no, I don't think so.
We had a question from Morgan as well, which I think we've covered. Shall we go back to playing more attacking football? Maybe we need to play a different formation. He mentions the 3-5-2, etc. Thanks, Morgan, for your comment. We appreciate that.
Opposition will depend on that as well. I'll be interested to see the next few games if we do change that a little bit. Wolves, Forest, let's see if we open up a bit.
The thing is, a lot of what we've talked about today has been about recruitment. We're not sure really what formation we're recruiting for.
Yeah, it's true.
So it'd be great if we could go a little bit more attacking. It'd be great if we could change up our formation to something that allows us to do that. But what if we're recruiting the wrong type of players?
I think it's all pretty clear that when we play 3 at the back, there's almost no place for Jayden Anthony in that side. Is that right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Unless you play him as a wing back, which he did at the weekend in the second half. But very likely.
So we play 4 at the back against Liverpool. Were we going out to beat them? Because, with Jayden Anthony on the pitch, it seems like...
I feel like he went, we got no Lloyd Kelly. I'm going to play with that 4. And I just think he thought, I don't really know what to do, and that we've just got beat very, very comfortably against 2 big teams, playing 5. I'll give it a go and play 4. I don't think there was much else thought to it, to be honest. I don't know. And maybe because of that vulnerability Liverpool showed, he thought we haven't created anything in them 2 games. Yeah. Maybe having some width might help. It didn't transpire, but I'm not going to act like I thought that changing it was crazy from the start. I didn't look at the team sheet. Obviously, I was gutted Lloyd Kelly wasn't there, but I didn't look at the team sheet and think, he's lost his head. It was. I got what he was trying to do, but as we just said, once it gets half time, just sort us out.
You sort of wonder who his echo chamber is as well. I'm sure he's not as naive as this, but you look at the second half against Arsenal, once you change the formation, we played better against an Arsenal team that wasn't trying as hard, yes. Is it as simple as that? Is it as simple as, that worked for a bit?
Tiggs, Andy Jennings asked, quite an interesting one, how would we get on against Dundee United if we were
0-0?
I'll take a point.
Just a quick one from...
Was that who had Zeno Ibsen Rossi, by the way? Was he at Dundee United for a bit?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, we got a nice little bromance, Dundee United. And we had it with Burton for a bit, didn't we? They were like a yellow. They were in yellow.
Mark Cole asked, we'll cover this one quickly. What formation would you play against Wolves? He's saying, depending on personnel, it has to be either a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 with Don playing off Kiefer. Would you agree with that?
I think if Dom's fit, I'd probably leave Kiefer out actually.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'd go back to last season a little bit. I'd play 4-3-3 and I'd play Bill in the player getting as close to Dom as possible. And obviously we hope Lloyd to be back. But I don't know about personnel. We'll come on to that before we have the game and what we hear from Parker. But I think I'd go 4-3-3.
Okay, we had a comment from Ollie, not rather than a question. He says, I look at Forest and Fulham playing with so much confidence. I don't know whether it's our fixtures, performances or Scott's words in his press conferences, but our confidence is drained. As a promoted side, that's our biggest threat over the first few weeks/months. Ours is completely gone. Jeron's dad also tweeted us saying, I noticed just after Dom came on at half-time when we conceded the 6th almost instantly, he came over and had an intense chat with Scott and then went back out moving players around, changing formation. He said, discuss the Dom and Scott relationship.
I mean, Scott's probably very thankful for him.
Very thankful for him. Unusual decision for him to have minutes, in my opinion.
Yeah, very strange.
Where we were at.
I just hope that Dom doesn't piss Scott off like Mitrovic maybe did and be dropped, because that's what basically got
Well, yeah.
I would have understood him coming on for 10 minutes just to think, right, let's get some match fitness. Give him a whole half and it's 5-0 when he's just come back from injury and the game's done and we got a big game on Wednesday. It did seem a bit odd. And then you're making Kiefer play a full 90. And that was another thing of the weekend, by the way. No one's really spoke about. Pearson come on and got injured. And come straight off. So that's another player who's actually been pretty decent in our first few games, actually. Who's now out, and that also affects the system because then you've got less chances of moving Lerma back if you haven't got Pearson.
Yeah, very good point.
There's a lot of. I think Fredericks is close, but apart from that, we look a bit even weaker.
Ethan asked us, and it's very difficult to answer this one, Ethan, but we've sort of broached it throughout the podcast. He said, "Hey Sam, Mr. T and Tomboy." Tomboy, I like that. Can I call you that from now on?
No.
If you were in Scott Parker's shoes right now, what would you be doing and why?
Be expensive shoes, wouldn't they?
Really expensive shoes.
I'll tell you that. So
yeah.
So what would you? So in terms of how would you get us ready for Wednesday? Maybe what would you be?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You don't. I think
just give the players some confidence.
Yeah, I think what
come out and say the right thing.
I think what we've got to remember is we're not in the dressing room. We don't know what's going on. Is he going in there going, I'm going to say this or that?
He might be, yeah.
We don't know, do we? And is he saying to the player? But yeah, I mean,
there could be two very different narratives.
Different
narratives outside of the four walls and inside. It could be that the players are like, know what he's saying.
But all we can go off is obviously what he's saying publicly.
Yeah, that's true.
And then what we're seeing on the pitch. And on the pitch, it looks like a team just devoid of confidence and look like they're so scared to get on the ball, and they look like a team that's being told they ain't good enough. So that's all we're going off. They don't look like a team that the manager's in the dressing room going, come on, you can do this for me, play with heart. They don't look like that team. And at times last season, we gave Scott credit, especially that, like we said earlier, that latter part of the season and then big games. They look like that team. And little snippets we saw when we got promoted, it looked like a together team. It doesn't look like that. And that's all we can go off as fans because we're not privileged to see behind the scenes stuff in the dressing room, are we?
Tom, stop making this an emotional show.
Just reset. Back to that, Phillips. We ain't got him.
I mean, the reality is, we said this, everyone said this, I'm sure Parker thought it. After this string of games, everyone said it, the season starts here.
Yep.
Right, so the next 3, for me, are now the focus.
Yeah.
The next 3 games, that's the start of the news, and that's what you should be saying to his players. You know what? It's done. It's done, right? We start afresh. We've got 3 games. We've got to get some kind of points. Yeah. We've got to. You're not going to win all 3 of them, but you've got to get something, and that's it.
We go out there, play well on Wednesday against Wolves. Don't lose the game. Hopefully win it, but play well and show. We have chances, and it looks good, and everyone looks together, and it's a good atmosphere in there. Blah 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 blah. We'll all forget about this. We will all forget about these 3 games. Because we'll go, right, I tell you what, they're gone now, and there's actually some positives there, and we can kick on now because we've shown we can compete with Villa, we've shown we can compete with Wolves, and that's who we need to be able to compete with. Yeah. But all we can go off at the moment is what we've just seen, and it's worrying. But yeah, it will all be forgotten. Wednesday's massive now, though.
Yeah. How would you feel as a player listening to his interviews? That was Ashley who sent that.
I don't. I think this goes back to a point Tom's made before about, is he singing what he's telling the press, is that what he's telling the dressing room? Are they a bit different? I mean, obviously, no players came out and spoke to the media after a 9-0 win. That usually gives you an indication of whether they're on the same page or not, doesn't it? And we've had that in the past. I remember previous years where you got a player come out and say one thing, and you got a manager come out and say another thing. Oh, okay, something ain't right there. But
we don't know if behind the scenes, do we? If he's going into the dressing room going, I'm going to say in here that we're not ready, we're not under, because I need to get more players in. I need to send this message to the board. You know, it's nothing on you guys. We don't know that. Just all I can go off, and all we can go off, is what we're seeing from the players, as I mentioned. And they don't look like a team that's like they were last season. They look like a team that are being told they're not good enough.
Maybe, and wouldn't be the way I would do it, but maybe he's trying to take the pressure off them. Maybe he's saying to them, you know what, lads, the plan wasn't for us to get promoted last season, but we did. And, you know, look at our injuries over here, and these lads aren't involved. I'm having to put Owen Bevan on the bench. You know, I've got Christian Sadie on the bench. These guys, you know, we weren't expecting them to be involved this early in the campaign. It's not your fault. The board need to get us some money and to get me some players. It's not your fault. So you're trying your best out there, but I understand. He made a really interesting comment in one of the interviews. He did like 5 different interviews after the game, and one of them was that the players were gasping for air or something like that at the end of the game. And I thought he meant it as like, you know, kind of like an analogy or a metaphor, you know, like metaphorically. But no, I think he genuinely meant that they all just green crackered. So, I mean, fitness, I don't know.
Do you think when he pointed at all the injured players, they went, yeah, but Junior's always over there?
Does he play for us?
And Sadie being on the bench, by the way, he was Didier Drogba against Norwich, so come on, let's calm down. What a player. I'll tell you about Norwich, Sam. What's going on?
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting to see the questions that people are asking, and the sort of I've had a weird kind of love-hate relationship with Parker for myself, because I sort of, you know, I loved him at the start, and then I doubted him, but then he always comes back, and then he sort of, you know, does something good. And that's what I'm hoping will happen again now. But, you know, when that happens, when you constantly have to be shown what you want to see from someone, that, you know, it does get tense, it does get fraught, you know, the relationship does get fraught, and I just feel as though it's, at the moment, it's going one way with him. And whilst he does sort of like every so often come back, there are peaks and troughs. Invariably, that graph is sort of going down in terms of AFC Bournemouth fans. Maybe not. Maybe you all love him still. I don't know. This is just my opinion, but
there's a lot of fans I've seen on.
My patience is kind of wearing thin a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel a fraud saying this. We played Man City, we played Arsenal, we played Liverpool.
It's where losing football matches, though, Sam. And I think I've seen quite a few fans on Twitter, just that I follow or they follow, I speak to, that are very much, you know, love Parker, and they've gone the other way. So, you know, it's not just you, it's not just us after defeats to big teams. But I think I was trying to think of it the other day, and I was thinking, I feel like there's kind of like 3 components that why I like hang on to this, you know, with Parker. One, because of how he was as a player, funnily enough, and he was a fighter. He left everything on the pitch, and I like that about him. And I think he's obviously got that in his personality. I want that as my manager. I like that. What was the second thing? I was going to say the second thing. I can't remember. I know the third thing was that he got the bloody job done. By the way, he literally got us over the line. So there's only so much you can do, because he got the job done, what we wanted him to do, and he got us promoted. So he's got to have a bit. Oh yeah, the other thing was what you hear of people that I kind of respect their footballing opinion. So when we went to the overlap, we weren't quite on it. When we were on the overlap, we met some people there, and Neville and Carragher. Neville said when he done his coaching, he said Parker was so much better than everyone else, and Parker was, you know, just so much more intelligent from a coaching point of view than everyone else that was on that course. And you feel like you hear that quite a lot from people that have like played with him and been on coach. So in my head I'm thinking, I must be wrong. These blokes knew more than me.
Do you know who I also...
But I don't actually think anything that I'm thinking there is actually from what I've seen as a coach.
Well, do you know who I've also heard that about? Steve McLaren.
All right, guess call it a day. No, but he is a good coach, just maybe not a good manager.
But there we go, and that's my point. So,
interesting.
You know, for me, it does come back to the next 3 games, because where you're saying there's a lot of people who like it. There's a lot of people saying get him gone, and I know a lot of you like out there. You know, we're trying to give balance. We're not trying to defend Scott Parker. He can do that for himself, but we're trying to give balance to both sides. But a lot of people saying get rid of him now because of, you know, how it's been going. You could do, But what would it achieve?
Yeah, no, exactly.
We've got 3 games now for him to show, actually, can he coach this team, get something out of this team against teams that we should be doing something against? And I don't even care if, I'm not looking for a win. I really do. I just want us to improve performance.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
What I want to happen, right? I want us to survive, obviously, but I want us to, when Liverpool play us and we beat them, if that happens, at Dean Court, I want Scott Parker to give Jurgen Klopp a patronising hug. Just like Jurgen did you see that?
That was awful.
Oh, bless him.
Oh my God.
I don't think he meant anything bad by it. But
Did you hear Klopp after the game? Like, it's one of my favourite sound bites from him. He just went, it was not cool to play us. It's not a cool time.
Yeah, I think he was kind of saying no team would have wanted to play us because we were going to have this reaction and blah blah blah. So he was all right about it. But it's easy to come across quite well when you just won 9-0. To be fair.
All eyes on Wednesday then. All eyes on Wednesday.
I actually think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for me, just because I just want another game.
Yeah,
I want to forget
click.
about and I think that's good for the players. I always think that. I think if you have the worst thing I used to think was when you have like a bad defeat and then it's like international break and you dwell on it. Just go back out there, and I don't care what anyone says about our supporters, us as a fan base, whatever people are saying. We'll get it rocking in there. And I'll tell you what, against Liverpool, we just lost 9-0 and everyone was staying behind and saying Bournemouth till I die. We're not that bad, honestly. We're saying, we're doing these kind of shows with that, we're not that bad. A lot of teams would have got booed off the pitch and there was not a boo in sight because we know we are. We know who we are, we know who we were playing, and we know there's a bigger picture. Wednesday's massive, so I'm shitting myself.
Lovely. Well, you know what? I think I feel better.
Yeah, got it out, haven't we?
Yeah, get it out a little bit. Yeah, I like to talk about it like this. And like we said, that's why we didn't do the fan cams. I think like Tig said then, you don't want to do fan cams after losing 9-0 and people will be going, oh, get rid of him. No good at all. So hopefully, I'm sure they'll let us know, but hopefully it was better to kind of dissect it like we did. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously throughout the show, you've seen the various stats littered on your screen about the heat maps and possessions and all that stuff. We didn't delve into it, but being a second look, we've given you the info anyway. Look, it's going to be a very busy time for the channel over the next week or so. Transfer deadline day. Do you expect us to make any moves in the market, mate?
Yeah, okay. Get cut the bits in, I reckon, yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. And then, Wolves and then Forest. Two huge games for us too. What was the final score between them and Spurs in the end?
2-0.
Yeah. 2-0.
Kane got 2, but he missed a penalty. That Steve Cook tipped over the bar. He nearly got sent off, Cookie.
Do you get minus points for missed penalties in FPL?
Yeah, but he scored 2, so it makes up for it. So it's fine.
Speaking of which, right? All right, we might not pull up any trees in the Premier League this season. I've used that twice now. Pull up trees.
Hopefully, we'll put up the tricky trees.
The tricky trees. Hey! But what we will be known for, I reckon, this season is we are the FPL busters.
Haaland and Salah.
Look at that.
I cut them so wide.
Who's got a Wolves player in there? Who's a good Wolves player?
I put Neto in.
Oh midfielder, yeah.
But then I think we might have taken him out. I can't remember.
Yeah, Neto. Some people might have Jimenez now. He's come back. So.
Yeah.
I reckon Scotty Parker's FPL team are doing great.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
I was speaking of Wolves. James Alcott, who's brilliant YouTuber who mentioned us on his stream, by the way, his 200k stream. Thank you so much for your comments. It was unprompted as well.
I know.
Talking about back of the net. I know we got a ceiling as a fan channel, and he said that. He always asks these questions about what things haven't happened in football but seem like they've happened, or the other way around. It seems like Wolves have been so much better than their league position suggests this season. Yeah. I thought they were going to be mid-table, and how is it that we're entering another match week after playing 3 unbelievable sides in the Premier League? We're not in the relegation zone.
Wow.
Yeah, Leicester 1 point, Wolves 2, Everton 2, Bournemouth 3.
Yeah. And like I say, Wolves, I feel as though they've been so much better than their league position.
Yeah, I agree.
So how it's going to go on Wednesday, I'm really intrigued. They seem to... I'll tell you what, just quickly, Preston North End, I know we're not in the Championship anymore, but their results have been...
They're 2-0 again?
Yeah.
They haven't conceded a goal.
They've scored 1 and conceded 0 all season.
Unbelievable.
And Wolves seem to... it doesn't feel like they've conceded many.
No, I wouldn't even have to look to kind of know that. They're always quite solid.
So they're going to be hard to break down.
But yeah, obviously we'll talk about it when we talk about shows, to do with Wolves more and that, kind of previewing the Wolves game. But what I'll be interested in, we've spoke about that Senesi a little bit.
Yeah.
I reckon Jimenez has just come back. That's kind of a big striker, and he's come up against diminutive strikers that drop in the hole, like Firmino and Jesus. I want to see him in a bit of a battle. I think he might be more suited to that. El Gladiator.
El Gladiator.
El Gladiator.
3-0.
El Gladiator.
3-0.
Love it. 3-0. Right. Thank you so much for watching. Hope it's been a good experience for you. I think it has for us.
Yeah.
If you want to take part in the second look, then we are inviting you to send in your videos and stuff, which we will comment on. If you check the description below, there's details of how to do it. All we ask, don't film like that, film like that. It makes it easier. Right, it's been fantastic. Right, more content to come. Make sure you click the like button. There's also a subscribe thing in there.
Yeah, a little subscribe thing, and there's another thing, Tom.
There's a little button that if you press it, it tells you. It's called a notification bell. It
Oh, yeah.
tells you when we do a video. You don't even have to like think about it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I actually didn't know what other button. I thought it was a thumbs down. You're not talking about that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Up the chairs.
Up, Ches.
Cherries.